Hey there. This is day 5 of the Bobcat Man show. Um, Today I'll be going over the fact that I watched Lady Gaga 5'2", and I also watched Mother in theaters. I'll be giving my thoughts and sort of review over those. One thing I noticed today was I had my first cigarette. The first cigarette of the day really gets you going. The rest are pretty even keel, but the first cigarette of the day, it really hits me hard. Now going into Lady Gaga, you get to see her topless, and watching her perform made me want to be a musician at one point. She was playing a jazz version of a Bad Romance to a ballroom, and in that moment I wanted to be a musician. A lot of it was showing off her new look, which is a much more much less high fashion, high ridiculous fashion. Now she's going for a normal look. It's almost like she's like trying to outdo herself by undoing and becoming normal, and that's the new way to be over the top. Not really Lady Gaga. That just means you're just not being over the top. A lot of it was her crying a lot of the time. She kept crying. She crying about her hip, her exes, her fans. Her album got released early. There were huge portions of the video that was about her dealing with her hip pain. Something happened to her hip, and it's affecting her whole body. Okay, so moving on to Mother. I had known nothing about it going in. All I knew was it was about. I had heard that it was about global warming and a dinner party. Turns out that's what it was about. There was just so much stuff, so much metaphor, and so much analogy that I don't really care to interpret a lot of what happened, because a lot of it is about global warming and the world, but in the setting of just like a simple domestic people's lives. Most of it was just shot of a close-up of Jennifer Lawrence's face. There was a lot of Tommy Wiseau, The Room moments. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of moments when people would say things out of place, like there was no reason for them to say it. And of course, the director meant something by it, but we as the audience don't know, so we get it's just this awkward moment. So what you kind of face at the beginning is this kind of patriarchal humanity that everybody acknowledged. Everybody acknowledged the man of the house, her husband, Jennifer Lawrence's husband, and not herself. And what she should have done, people kept coming into her house. People kept coming into her house, and they kept invading her space. And at some point, she should have just left. She should have just realized there's just way too many people invading my space. There's way too many people messing with my stuff. She should have just left. There was a moment where there was like this blood on the floor that kept seeping through. I didn't know what it was. What was that thing that was on the floor there? There was a moment wherever two mothers are having a conversation, Jennifer Lawrence and an older mother, and the mother is talking about Jennifer Lawrence's motherhood, and she says, the house is just setting. And it was a big line because it's obvious that the house is not just setting, it's also a mother and is somewhat representative of Mother Earth. There was some Christian kind of almost criticism, patriarchal religion criticism going on whenever the mother actually had the child and then they actually ate the child. Sorry for spoilers. The relationship that Jennifer Lawrence had with her husband was just an absolutely horrible relationship. You get Kristen Wiig killing a few people execution style. You had rage, you had police raids. Basically what you have is just a metaphor for how just the whole world ends up happening inside of their house in a domestic setting. And after a while it stops becoming the domestic setting and switches over completely to the world setting almost. And it just sort of had this out of control, invasive feeling this whole time for Jennifer Lawrence. everything was out of control and being invaded, and she couldn't ever get a hold of control of everything that was going on, which I think is how we all feel as individuals who face the world, who face with stuff that's going on in North Korea, with stuff that's going on in the world. We feel just victims and witness to it. And Mother Earth is also witness to it. And if we can't figure out a way to get a hold of it and to stop becoming invaded by these things, then we'll get the sort of end that happens in the Mother. Thank you.